Hey everybody, welcome to BU's team call tonight, and I am honored and very grateful that my dear friend and new Emerald ambassador, is joining me tonight. And this was my team call night, but I immediately messaged. Well, Sal and I were actually talking, and I had some team call ideas that I was going to run by her. And I was like, I really want Janell to do the team call with me because she's got to tell her story. This is a big deal. And she right away, yes, she has to. So I went to Janell and said, you have to. But no, she, of course, Janell is humble, and she's, just, and it was actually not even the end of the month. I don't think yet. Was it the end of the month when I asked you? I don't remember. You had already hit. So I don't know. It was last week. It was early last week, maybe, but she agreed, thankfully, because it's important and powerful when you can hear somebody's story anywhere in this journey. It's powerful to hear people's stories. So, but it's really extra powerful, I think, when you see somebody hit a really big rank, like a jewel rank, like Emerald, and that, the timeline that it took them to get there, and just, it's really cool to see how God played this out, and the growth that Janell's had. And I just really have to tell you guys, obviously, if you read the post, then you got to know, if you didn't know this already, but Janell and I have known each other since freshman year of high school. We probably even played basketball against each other in middle school, is my guess. I don't remember you from that, but we went to high school together, and we were friends, but not super close friends. Didn't really run with the same circles a ton, but I think we talked quite a bit in school, and we didn't have a huge high school, but so I knew her from that. And then really once college, we graduated, we parted and went different ways, and she got married, and I went to Dorr, and then went to college, and then moved to Michigan. And then not much after I moved, several years later, maybe a few or so, she moved to Michigan, and we found each other through before an online, I think Facebook, probably. We found each other and figured out that we were both in West Michigan. And then we just kind of connected a couple of times, online yard sales. She bought like a pair of shoes for me, and we talked in a gas station parking lot. Do you remember that? I will never.
For like an hour and a half as we exchanged shoes and like $3.
Yeah. And that's really where, like our friendship really sparked from that. And, Facebook friends, I don't think we never really hung out other than just Facebook stuff. It's like, I don't think we ever hung out until Plexus started to happen. So I really want, I want Janell to tell her story. So Janell, we're going to talk through this too, and I'm happy to jump in and stuff. I'd like to off and on, but Janell has laid this out really cool, with how she's going to kind of go through her timeline. So I'm just going to let you go ahead and get started sharing, how Plexus just jumped into your life, hon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Chris, for your sweet intro. So you guys, I started for the products, and only the products, in March of 2016. So next month will be 6 years. Okay. So some of my major, probably most severe symptoms were extreme fatigue, sugar cravings beyond any amount of control. I was out of control. I loved Diet Coke, and I craved it, and I needed it because I thought I needed the caffeine. I loved how it made me feel because I had no energy otherwise. And that was everybody's got their like comfort food. That was my comfort drink. Okay. I was super constipated, like to the point of maybe going once or twice a week, and just thought that that was just me. I didn't know there was anything wrong with that. And so really bad hormones, which amounted to super moody, super negative, super crabby mom, snappy, short temper. So when they say, when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, that was our house. It was, you guys, it was rough. Not gonna lie. We had a rough house, and it was my fault. And I knew it, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I had extreme guilt about it. But I didn't know what to do. So I was feeling very lost, very guilty, very down about that. just a couple other things: adult acne, joint pain, eye twitches. I never felt rested when I woke up. So literally, when I say I started for the products, that is the absolute truth. And I actually, when I reached out to Chris, I was just watching her posts for a very short time, and I reached out to her and said, I'm going to try these, but don't you ever talk to me about selling anything. And I'm pretty sure those were my direct words. And she's like, nope, that's fine. I just want you to feel good. And that's okay. And I think I told her like 2 or 3 more times, like, don't ever talk to me about selling anything. And I think I was kind of mean about it. So I'm really sorry, Chris. But anyway, I tell you that because of where I started. Okay. Because you need to know that when people tell you that, it's okay. If that's where they are in that time, that's okay. You don't know what God has planned for them. So we always say, meet them where they're at. And Chris always met me where I was at. And I'm so thankful for that. She never pushed. She didn't even gently nudge, because I pretty much told her I'd run the other way if she did. But she was always there for my support. So that was in March. Okay. 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks after I started the products, my 4-month-old niece passed away unexpectedly in her sleep during the night. And my sister and I are the only ones out here in Michigan from our family. We're very close, even though we're 10 and a half years apart. I started my family super young, so I have really old kids comparable to her family. She has really young kids right now. So 3 weeks into my product journey, my niece died. And that was trauma, as you can imagine. And part of my story is that on the way home from the funeral that day, I looked at my husband as he was driving us home from the funeral, and I said, you know what's really weird? And he said, what? I said, I'm okay. You guys, I hadn't been okay for years. So 1, God's grace. 2, guess what? My hormones and my blood sugars were starting to be balanced already. I wasn't even a wreck already. So, okay, but that didn't click for me. I didn't put 2 and 2 together till later. Okay, so that was 3 weeks in. So that was April. And then I had actually just a couple of friends notice, and that I talked to about too, like, they were like, there's something different. I said, yeah, I think it's these products. You should try them. And so I would be like, Chris, this friend needs these products. Don't talk to me about selling them. Here they are. You call them. Here's their number, and you take care of them. And she was like, okay. So she did. And it was beautiful. It was like, okay. So guess what? In May, I turned silver. Didn't know what silver was. Didn't know I turned silver. Didn't care. Okay. So by July, 2 months later, it was a Sunday morning, and I'll never forget it. We were getting ready for church, and I was sitting on the side of the bed, I think adjusting my nylons or something silly like that. And Phil, my husband, walked into the bedroom, and he shut the door behind him, and he said, I need to talk to you about something. And right away you're like, when does a husband ever say that? You kind of panic inside. And I was like, yeah. He said, that stuff, he called it that stuff you're taking. And I said, yeah. And he said, don't ever stop. I was like, okay. Because I could feel the difference. I was being able to tell the difference. But the fact that other people around me, because I didn't talk about it. Nobody knew I was taking these except for the few friends that were, taking them under me, which I had nothing to do with. The fact that he said, I have my wife back and my kids have their mom back. And I don't ever want you to stop taking that stuff. And at that point, you guys, I was not a natural health advocate. I didn't care. If my doctor would have written me a prescription with 1 million chemicals in it, I would have taken it because I didn't care. I've learned to, my viewpoint has changed since then, but that's what they did for me. Okay. So my belief in the products has been rock solid since less than a month in. Okay. My belief in myself and in my business is a different story. So that's what I'm going to kind of expand on here. So that fall, I believe it was probably October, Chris was saying earlier, she was a PE teacher at Holland Christian, and she would have these meetings randomly. Every once in a while, she would say, hey, I'm going to gather my team, whoever wants to come. We're just going to talk about the products, snack on some snacks, whatever. So I showed up because I was thinking, I just want to learn more what this is because I can tell these changes. And it turned out to be a meeting, and it wasn't like intentionally this way, but it turned out to be a meeting of a lot of people were there that were doing this as a business. So they were talking about how great the compensation plan was. And, these people's health victory were like even greater than mine. I mean, these were like people with major diseases. And so it was pretty cool. That left a huge impression on me. I still attribute my starting to share to Chris's ability and her pursuit of gathering her team together. That was monumental. Okay. So I came home from that meeting. I didn't say much. I kind of observed, but it turned into more of a business testimony meeting than a product testimony meeting. And I thought, you know what? I'm cleaning houses for people. I'm scrubbing other people's toilets so that we can pay our bills. These other people over here are making a legit business, legit money. They told me what their first couple paychecks were, and my eyes kind of popped open, selling about these products that I already love. So my mind just started whirling, though that seed had been planted. And so, excuse me, I started posting, and this is a no-no, so don't follow me. I started posting back at that time, we did these Plexus pages. We didn't post on our wall. We did pages or groups, or I don't know what they were. And so that was safe for me. Okay. So I did that because it was like, I could control who was in there. I didn't have to be embarrassed about if somebody, left or whatever. But that was huge. That was pivotal for me. And because I really was not comfortable with who I was worried about what people thought. So that was kind of like my dipping my toe in, if you want to say. And then, so that was the fall of 2016. And then I turned gold in January of 2017. So just a couple months later. And Chris hosted another one of these gathering meetings in January. I was like, oh, cool. Okay, I'll go to that one. And Sal was there. I remember she and Olivia were coming to town to visit a college, and Sal came. And there might have even been a couple other ones too. I think maybe Sue and Jamie might have come to that one too. I don't remember. But anyway, Sal ran up to me and she was like, "You're gold. This is so exciting." And I was like, "What's gold? And why am I excited? What did I do?" You guys, I was just living this life and I think intentionally oblivious, not going to lie, because I was so like, you guys, I am not selling anything. I was still telling everybody I wasn't selling anything. Okay. Because I wasn't going to sell anything. So just background here. So anyway, keep in mind that there was no vision. There was no belief building, no why, all the things we talk about right away. Just because somebody doesn't have that right away, that's okay. All right. I was just feeling like I was gifted with connecting with people, caring about their health, and hooking them up with some products that worked. And so my belief in the products was basically my starting point. Okay. Now, this is an interesting point. I think I might have shared this with you once, Chris, but I don't know if you remember. We had 1 month. I don't remember if it was part of like a leaders retreat contest or what, but our private BU team did a contest 1 month of earning points for doing things like reading book club or showing up for Monday night calls. You got these points. Well, I'm not usually a competitive person, but I was like, oh, well, I want to earn points, see if I can win this prize. I think it was like, I don't know, a Amazon gift card, and we had no money. So it was just like, okay, cool. I'll see if I can win this gift card. So guess what? Janelle goes on Monday night team calls and book clubs and is like, oh my word, this is awesome. These people are incredible. They're positive. They have integrity. It was about mindset, how to add value to people, things that I could learn to implement with my family. Because guess what? I still wasn't doing a business. And I was in. I was sold. I loved it. I just felt at home. And so I kept showing up. And so that was January of 2017. I turned gold. In March, I turned senior gold. Okay. That was when it was kind of starting to be a little bit more real. Like, am I doing this? Because I think I might be doing this. I'm not sure. Chris, am I doing this? She's like, I don't know. She didn't know what to say. I felt sorry for the poor girl. So she's like, you tell me if you're doing this because I don't know. And so that year, 2017, I earned my first leaders retreat and was pretty excited because we didn't travel a lot, never had money to travel. My husband and I never went on a real honeymoon. And I think it was supposed to be in October. And a week before leaders retreat, my mom got the news. She had had cancer and she got the news that it wasn't going to be very long. And so we were like, oh, what do we do? No, we're canceling. We're not going to leaders retreat. And the very next morning, we got a phone call that my mom passed away from a stroke, of all things. Okay. So had to obviously not go to leaders retreat. And my mom and I were very, very close, very close. And so that was, I would say, a part of my journey that, you know, we say you're on this journey, you're on this road. That was kind of a traffic jam for me. I kind of just shut down there for a while. I still supported my team and I still posted, but probably not much beyond that for a while. And ironically, I was able to function and push through very well until about a year later. That's when the grief really hit me. They say grief is different for everybody, and that's definitely true. So mom died in October. I turned Ruby in November. Okay. I really don't remember that. I'm not going to lie. I think it was fuzzy. My team was starting to catch the vision. I do remember when my mom died thinking, because that was right about the time that fall or even that summer, that's when our team was kind of like, okay, no more Plexus pages. Everybody stop your pages, go on your personal wall. I was still not willing. I was Ruby and I was still not willing to post on my wall because guess what? I still wasn't selling anything. Right? Wrong. So I remember when my mom died thinking, what am I living for? Am I living for other people's opinions of what I put on my Facebook wall? Like I really did some soul searching of what's important here, you guys. What is life all about? And I feel like that was part of the shift I needed to make of I can stop being proud because it was pride that was holding me back. And I can stop worrying about what other people think. And I can start worrying about other people and their health and making it about them. I was just trying to make it about no one before, really, like not about me, not about them. Just, I know these products work. Here you go. I was super hands off. And I feel like that's when I started to be like, you know what? This is okay. This is okay. And that's embarrassing for me to share because I know some people work so hard to get to some ranks and but that's my story. It's part of how I became who I am. And so that's why I share. So I started posting on my personal wall, January 2018. That was my New Year's resolution. Here we go. Going to be brave. And that was probably, like I said, one of the biggest action steps in my personal growth. I will tell you that, and Chris and I have had many, many conversations about this from gold until about this point. I was scared. I was scared of success. And I said that to Chris all the time. I'm like, I'm scared of success. And she's like, what are you scared of? What do you think success is? And I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to say. So I self-sabotaged without even realizing it. So I want you to work backwards with me here. So I figured if I don't become successful, I don't have to be a good leader. So if I don't be a good leader, or to stop myself from being a good leader, then I don't have to be fully committed or all in. If I am not all in, I don't have to do my IPA. I can just post. I don't have to send messages. So like I had this progression of self-sabotaging myself without knowing it, that that's what I was doing because of my fear of success. That's what the root was. So thank the Lord for Chris that helped me figure that out. And at that point, I started to dream of having an income enough to be able to stop scrubbing other people's toilets. That was like, oh, you mean I don't have to do this forever? Like I could just do Plexus from home. So that was like, that would be really cool. But still not but much belief, big belief in vision. Just kind of like, oh, I wonder if that could really happen, So then also year after my mom died, I started grief counseling. Like I said, my grief hit pretty late. And that was also pivotal in facing not only my grief, but you guys, for those of you who have gone to therapy, when you go to counseling, everything comes out, right? You start to figure out why you feel this way, what started it, the causes. And so I started figuring out these fears that were really buried down deep that were holding me back. Okay. So figuring out who I was, what I believed about myself, that is what really kind of led me forward in my business. Okay. So hit Senior Ruby in January of 2019. That was 3 years ago. I was at Senior Ruby for 3 years, and that's okay. I think God's plan is perfect no matter what. And I look at what happened in those 3 years and I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, I would change what happened, but I needed those 3 years at Senior Ruby to be an emerald today. Okay. So in the spring, I turned Senior Ruby in January. That spring, I was able to quit all my cleaning jobs. And that fall, I had a pretty big mental health setback, like almost debilitating. Okay. So that was really hard because I questioned everything. I questioned my worth, why I was here, what was I doing, who am I? I didn't know who I was without my mom and just other things with kids that were happening. I didn't feel like I was a good mom. And so that was rough. And so that was October of 2019. Well, we all know what happened like November, December, COVID, right? So the world changed again. So you can't leave your house and nobody's hugging. You're not with your people. People aren't gathering. You're not going to church. So that was pivotal for my healing. God knew that needed to happen at that time because I needed to heal. And so that was 2020. Okay. So we're still doing the COVID thing in 2020, right? Well, my dad got COVID October 3 of 2020, healthy 59-year-old man, rode his bike a minimum of 100 miles a week, no underlying health conditions. Like this is the healthiest 59-year-old man you will ever meet in your life. And 7 weeks later, he died of COVID. So November 17 of 2020, my dad died. So since I started Plexus, I lost a 4-month-old niece, my 60-year-old mom to cancer, and my 59-year-old dad to COVID. And I had a lot of junk, a lot of mind work. And so God knew it needed to take 6 years to get to Emerald, because if it would have happened faster, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, there's just no question in my mind. So when dad died, March of 2021, when we were allowed to start counseling in person again, it didn't have to be virtual. I did not want to do virtual counseling. I started with my therapist again, and we worked hard on some mind stuff. And that's really when it clicked on getting out of management mode and working this Plexus like it deserved to be worked, not half in, half out. And I buckled down on my business and developing better leadership skills and doing this because that's what God has planned for me right now. And it's a beautiful story. And I'm so thankful for it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And so I feel kind of guilty looking back because we talk about people. Are you in? Are you all in? Are you not in? I was half in a lot. I mean, I would be in and then I'd be like, ooh, kind of pulling back, and then I'd be in. But that was, would I like to change that? Yes. Because I know I could be Diamond Bite now. If I would have went in whole hog 6 years ago, I'd have been Diamond a long time ago. But that wasn't God's story for me. And so I feel like the things I've learned along this way can help so many other people. And that's what we're about, is helping other people. So that's what I got, girl.
Oh my word. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying really hard not to cry. It's a story, guys. I mean, and if there's anything that you can get, that is just the persistence and the commitment and just it's been a hard road. It has, but God is so good. And that's one thing that Janelle said through the whole thing. You know, I will never forget from the beginning. I just remember, you know, when your niece passed, that was one of the first things I remember. You messaged us and said, I'm okay. You're like, of course I'm sad, but just how huge that was. And then just because you knew that your body was healing. But then there was so many other things that had to heal in that journey too. And then your leadership too. And you guys, I've always told Janelle, as I do all my leaders, like, you were an amazing leader. She doubted herself a lot. You doubted yourself a lot. And she was very capable. I mean, you were leading a huge team, and her team loves her, you guys. They do, you know, like, just like your teams love you, you know, they joined you because of you. And you can't forget that. And that's something we have to tell ourselves all the time, is that the people that are coming to you are coming to you because you're you know, and there's qualities in that are really important, you know, but Janelle needed to find that in herself. And in those years in between here, she found it, you know, and it's through a lot of prayer, a lot of hard stuff, through counseling, which I love that you're an advocate for getting help and digging in and figuring out the hard things, because we all have them. But she did it. She did it. And she leads a team of beautiful people, and she pours into all of us, and is a true gift. So Janelle, thank you so much for telling your story. It really is amazing. And I'm 100% sure you inspired a lot of people tonight. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thank you guys for joining. I love you all. And yeah, just make it to events so we can all hug each other again. We need that.
Yep, it is so true. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate you guys being on, and have an awesome night. See you, friends.